in other parts of the country. We have to improve infrastructure around the country. As we build the Rironi-Mau Summit standard gauge, dual carriageway, before it gets to Mau Summit in April, May next year, we will have hopefully contracted the link from Mau Summit to Malaba, and we will have undertaken other transport corridors. The intention and the plan here is to do 2,500 kilometers of new dual carriageway in Kenya in the last 7 to 10 years, and to double our paved road. From independence to now, we have paved 20,000 kilometers of road, or tarmac, 20,000. That is in 60 years. In 60 years, Japan tarmacked 1 million kilometers. I think there is some difference between 20,000 and 1 million. I don't know whether it is small or a big difference. So what we want to do, we want to tarmac another 28,000 kilometers in Kenya in the next 10 years. And it's possible, and we're going to do it. If you go to any meeting in Kenya, somebody will ask you about a road. Anywhere. This road, and that road, and the other road, and the other road. We just have to do it. We cannot do it piecemeal. We cannot continue discussing 10 kilometers here, 20 kilometers there, 50 kilometers somewhere. We just have to have a comprehensive plan and do it, and have a plan and do it. So, and we need to sort out the port of Mombasa. We need to sort out all the other port infrastructure. That will require about between maybe 10 and 12 billion dollars. It's about 1.5 trillion or thereabout. So, but we're going to look 1.5 trillion or thereabout. So, but we're going to look for that money somehow. We will find it and do it. As we do that, we have also to put up the facilities that can host people who want to come to Kenya. You know very well that the last serious conference facility that was done is Kenyatta International Conference Center, right? And it was started with the Harambee. The first meeting was to have a fundraising by some good Kenyans. But somehow, they managed to build it. It has served us well, but it cannot serve us going forward. And that is why we are building the Bomas of Kenya, which will be ready, by the way, in May. May this year. May this year. Yes. And with it, we have encouraged the private sector, and they've come through to do 3 big hotels, at least with a total bed capacity of 1,500 beds. In Nairobi now, this is the biggest hotel facility we have. Just imagine this one. This place here where other people are standing, ndio wale wamesimama huko. We need to be serious, honestly. So, we need some real investment in hospitality industry in the country. And we are encouraging more people to come on board, and I'm very confident about the future. Whenever we have guests in Nairobi, you know, I have serious problems where to put them. Kempinski has become a small place. Intercont was shut down. The other place, Crown Uko, was shut down. And the other place. So, why? Because we didn't build the conference facility infrastructure that would help support our hotel industry. And that is why, as diplomats, now that we will have a modern conference facility in Kenya, all those meetings that are being held in all those other places should be held in Nairobi. And we are banking on you to work with us so that we can redirect serious major conference facility to our country. We will be hosting the French Africa Summit here for the first time in Nairobi. And we have so many conference facilities lined up. It's very interesting that even before the conference facility in Bomas is ready, there is a long queue of people who want to use that facility. Number two, and of course, before I finish that, we need to sort out this city. My last meeting last evening was about the city of Nairobi and what we need to do in terms of cleaning it, lighting Nairobi. Nairobi is very dark. Cleaning filling the place. We are the environmental capital of the world with UNEP here and Habitat. But if you go to Nairobi River, it has no indication that we have anything to do with environment. And so we are sorting out Nairobi River. The good news, I just want to tell you, I have a date on the 15th of January next year. We will open up Nairobi River and you will see something very different. Yes. And then we will go to Ngong River and finally have Nairobi in a good place. The second thing we must do is to deal with hunger. We are still a very hungry country. It is very shocking. There are still too many people in Kenya who sleep hungry. Too many. Of course, it's because partly it's because 85% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid, but that is not a reason, because all those arid areas have very good soils. We have enough. They may not have rain, but with harvesting and storage, we can have enough water. So the next thing we are going to do, and it's going to begin this year, we are beginning with the first 15 mega dams this year, is to do water harvesting and storage and bring at least 2.5 million acres into production. First, to make sure that every person in Kenya has food. You know, there is nothing as demeaning, as dehumanizing as a person who is hungry. So we need to deal with that. And then, of course, we are opening new markets for our products. We have concluded negotiations with one of the largest markets in the world, in China. We will now access the Chinese market duty-free, quota-free, for all our agricultural products from tea, coffee, avocados, macadamia, and everything else. But we need to produce enough. We need to produce enough. What we are producing at the moment is not enough. We need to produce enough for us to be able to lift our economy. And finally, the third thing we need to do is to generate enough energy. We have a serious energy deficit. We have in our grid 3,300 megawatts. At the minimum, we need another 10,000. We need 3 times what we have, at the minimum, if we have to undertake the transformation that is necessary to take our country to the next level. Today, the Ministry of Energy will tell you, every evening, on some peak hours, we have to do load shedding, you know. And what that does, it undermines our economy. Let me give you an example. I was in, what was the name of that place? In Diwa, I was in Diwa someplace. So we went there to commission a transmission line, 69 kilometers of transmission line, which we had built. And the information that we were given is that just because of that transmission line, the sales, electricity consumption, actually, in that particular area, very small area, had doubled because they had reliable energy, which means there's a lot of potential out there, but it's constrained by the amount of energy that is available. Let me give you another example. I went to the US on the famous trip with President Biden when he invited me. And in this big ceremony, we signed a couple of MOUs and programs. And one of them was on data centers, you know, the technology that brings data centers on board. And we signed with Microsoft, Kenya, and a company from the UAE called G42. And I was very happy with it because it was going to be an investment of $1 billion in Kenya to set up the first ever green data center. Until I arrived in Kenya, and when the process started, I was told, Mr. President, for us to implement this project, we need 1,000 megawatts of energy. Okay? So what does that mean? That I shut down half the country to implement this one project. Because if you have 3,000 megawatts and one project wants 1,000, so it was not possible for us to implement this $1 billion project. And there are many other investment opportunities that we are losing because we do not have enough energy. And that is why we have to be innovative. All the 3 programs I've just said, which are really the basic minimum for us as a country to lift ourselves, requires about $40 billion or 5 trillion Kenyan shillings. That's what we need. And that is why we have, with my team, we have sat down, we have looked at what other countries have done, what has worked elsewhere, what is best practice, and we have created a channel for us to be able to do this. We have to mobilize our own domestic resources. We have to create the correct framework for us to leverage on private money that is why public-private partnership is a big thing. We are lucky that in Kenya we have a working capital markets ecosystem. Our Nairobi Stock Exchange is one of the best assets that we have. It was the second best stock exchange in the African continent. So we have a real tool for us to be able to leverage private sector money, both locally and globally. And that is the reason why we have set up the National Infrastructure Fund, so that we can use it to mobilize domestic resources through our mature assets like Kenya Pipeline, Safaricom and others. And already the National Infrastructure Fund, we have raised the first 100 billion using the Kenya Pipeline IPO. We will raise another 2.5, at least 2 billion in the next coming months, 2-3 months. And we will move on, and it will be possible for us to leverage that money, use private sector money, deploy using our capital markets, raise more resources from other sources, use our pension funds and others who have a lot of patient money, but they are lacking opportunities to invest. And that is why they are crowded at the treasury bills and buying bonds and what. So we're going to look at that space. And I'm very excited that very many people are coming forward who are very quiet. And they're saying, we have opportunity, we can support here, we have money to help you do this, we have resources. Just give us the right structure, we are going to invest. To be able to have these three work out, we need another 3 enablers. Number one is to up our game in science, innovation, technology, so that we can create the right caliber of people who can assist us with new knowledge on how we take our country to the next level. A country cannot develop beyond its capacity to think. Yes. Yeah, it's just as simple as that. If your thinking goes up to here, that's the end. You cannot. So, and that's why I brought this good man, Professor Shokat from IEA, to come and head our State Department for Science, Research, Innovation. Please see them. Because we need those people. We need these people who, you know, we have a good education system, but we need a higher caliber of thinkers, people who can work with us so that they can help us do the right things. Today, I am the leader of this great nation, but I can tell you, everything I have implemented, it is not just my thoughts. I have pulled a lot of knowledge from very intelligent people who are more intelligent than me. Yeah, I've had to leverage on their intelligence to be able to drive the country forward. Because it is said, wisdom cannot, and knowledge cannot fit in one head. Yeah? One head can only accommodate so much. But people have to be gracious to say there are some things I need the help of other people for us to be able to get ourselves where we want to go, right? That's why research is going to be a very big thing. We're going to deploy more resources in research. We're going to deploy more resources in science, in technology, and we are moving in that direction. That's enabler number one, knowledge. Yes. Number two is security. You know, we are putting together a lot of resources. You will see in matter security, because we live in a very, difficult neighborhood. We have all our countries around us, and we have real security issues. So we need to up our game. We need to modern technology. We are modernizing our police infrastructure. We are modernizing our defense infrastructure. We have to bring in new ways of doing things into this space. It's going to be much more intelligence-led, less about brute force, more about intelligence, more about targeting the right places. And so you will be seeing some of the areas we will be putting our resources in. And then finally, we have to reorganize our software. We need a much more patriotic nation, good people. We need to believe in ourselves. You know, you listen to some people, you think they have a spare country. They talk about Kenya as if this is our country. This is us. We must believe in ourselves. We can do it ourselves, you know? Sometimes I get amazed as to how people believe in us more than we believe in ourselves. Really? You know, I sat at this conference this week at Radisson Blu, and I listened to the country director of the World Bank talk about Kenya. I listened to one gentleman, an investor in BPO, talk about Kenya. I listened to one lady, she runs, I think, Flamingo Flower something in Naivasha, talk about Kenya. And I was amazed as to how other people think about us. They're talking about how good our human capital is, how innovative our people are, how hardworking we are as a people, you know? But you listen to some of our leaders, and some others have even the audacity to say, oh, you know, we are a failed state. Really? Where? You know? And you want to be a leader in this country. You want to be a leader of a failed state. Anyway. So, good people. And I will tell this to the people of Kenya proudly. We are a great nation. We are a great people. We can do it. Let us believe in ourselves. Let us stop the negativity. Let us stop the negativity about our country. Let's project the reality of who we are, you know? And I think we need more about our patriotism, our belief in ourselves, our belief in our nation, and that is really going to make a hell lot of a difference. But slowly, I think we are getting ourselves there, slowly. There are people who are saying nothing is happening in Kenya. Today, their voices are going down. because they can see something is happening in our country. And we will continue to push the limits, and I will continue to lead from the front. I will continue. So let me, I think I've been carried away a bit, but let me say this. I really needed to talk to you because you are the people who will talk about our country out there. Please project the right image of our nation. You know, let's get the right image of Kenya. Kenya is not about chaos. Kenya is not about destruction. Kenya is not about all those other things. We are a serious nation, very serious nation. And many people believe in us. Just for the record, G7 is going to have its meeting shortly. Yeah? And the chair of the G7 this year is going to be France. And they have invited Kenya to speak on behalf of this continent. That is how serious we are. So please, let us believe in ourselves. Finally, you should know with clarity that Kenya will remain firmly committed to playing its leadership role as a regional, continental, and global participant. We are proud and responsible members of the international community, and we will continue to act with purpose in shaping a more just, inclusive, and effective global order. In response to evolving global realities, we will pursue a principled and pragmatic foreign policy. We will engage partners across all regions on the basis of mutual respect and shared benefit, while remaining steadfast in advancing our sovereignty, preserving our strategic autonomy, and securing our long-term national interest. We will persist in defending multilateralism while championing the reform of multilateral institutions, including the United Nations Security Council, so that they become more representative, more responsive, and truly fit for purpose. Nairobi, as the only United Nations headquarters in the Global South, carries both prestige and responsibility. Kenya must therefore work with other countries, especially in the Global South, to ensure that their voice, perspectives, and priorities are effectively advanced in the international fora. We look forward to hosting, as I said, 2 landmark global engagements that will underscore Kenya's growing role as a convener of consequential international dialogue. In May, we will host the Africa-France Summit, the first to be held outside the Francophonie, providing a strategic platform to reframe Africa's partnership with France in trade, investment, and industrial cooperation on the basis of parity and mutual respect. In June, Kenya will also host the 11th Our Oceans Conference in Mombasa and Kilifi, the first ever on African soil, bringing together governments, civil society, and the private sector to advance marine conservation, the blue economy, climate resilience, and ocean governance, while creating real opportunities for our communities and for our economies. I expect you, dear people, to actively participate, amplify Kenya's voice, and help build momentum for our global engagements with a focus on Kenya's national interest. Thank you very much. let me reiterate as I conclude, when called upon, Kenya will continue to rise to the occasion in support of global peace and security. Our leadership in international and regional engagements, such as the deployment of our police officers to Haiti and active involvement through the AU and other regional organizations in the DRC, South Sudan, Somalia, and elsewhere, reflects our steadfast commitment to global stability, solidarity, and shared responsibility. As the champion of the reform of the African Union institutions, we will continue to actively advance this agenda of strengthening the AU's institutional capacity and strategic relevance. We are equally committed to deepening regional integration as a cornerstone of our foreign policy. Kenya will continue to advance cooperation within the East African community, while also strengthening engagements through the common markets for Eastern and Southern Africa. At the continental level, we will remain strong supporters of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, alongside other regional peace, trade, and infrastructure initiatives that enhance connectivity, expands markets, and promotes shared prosperity across Africa. On climate action, Kenya remains at the forefront of continental leadership. As the chair of the Committee of African Heads of States on climate change, we are driving our continent's collective voice and ambition in global climate negotiations. Our foreign policy framework, set out in Sessional Paper number 1 of 2025, is anchored on a whole of government and a whole of society approach. Our diplomacy must remain rooted in everyday interests of Kenyans, the farmer seeking better prices, the worker abroad in need of protection, and the entrepreneur seeking access to new markets. I urge you to believe in our great nation and to serve it with unwavering dedication. You occupy positions of both high privilege and responsibility. As we work here at home to transform our country, you are the face, you are the voice, and the standard of Kenya beyond our borders. I call upon you to embody that responsibility with integrity, conviction, and a deep sense of purpose. With these remarks, it is my distinct pleasure to declare the 19th edition of Ambassadors Conference open, and I thank you.
Another round of applause for His Excellency. Let's have a sit. Thank you very much. Thank you again, Your Excellency, for your elaborate and visionary statement. I know that my sister, Rosaline Jogu, is going to give a lot of thanks. But ahead of her doing that, with utmost humility, Your Excellency, indulge us to listen to a brief presentation on what we are doing, just to give you a foretaste of what we are doing on digital infrastructure for commercial diplomacy from Felix Shege, the founder and CEO, Real Sources Africa, and Dr. James Mwangi, the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Equity Group Holdings. Let's put our hands together first to Felix and then to Dr. James. Thank you very much.
Ensures that trade and investment prospects are documented, monitored, and pursued systematically.
Flamingo is having one particular ecosystem.
begin with our mission. This as a shared infrastructure for African cooperation, and we invite our sister countries to join us in this journey.
Thank you so much. Just standing on our protocol, so I'd like to just make a brief presentation on basically what we're doing with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Your Excellency, allow me to just give you a brief story. In 2024, we rolled out a very ambitious initiative by the name Trade Connect. Our goal was trying to see how best we could export 1,000 containers over a period of 12 months. Having done 315 containers along the way, we realized a few challenges. One of the major challenges was basically unstructured demand. Second challenge was poor policy clarity, deal assurance, limited access to market, and finally aspects to do with weak sustainable market presence. But most importantly, we realized this, that most of our traders, most of our SMEs, investors, first go to embassies to seek for either information about Kenya as a country before they really look at coming into the country. We realized that our embassies collect an average of 3,500 inquiries every month, but less than 1% of these inquiries are actually executed. Meaning that as a country, the opportunities are there, people are interested to access these opportunities, but unfortunately we do not have the digital infrastructure to enable us to structure and actually implement some of these inquiries. In partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we went ahead to develop digital platforms, one by the name Biashara Link. Biashara Link is a digital platform that looks at trying to capture these inquiries digitally for my embassies, being able to structure them, and finally supporting the execution and having a scientific or a data-driven approach to how we are running our policy work or how we're able to guide on which markets we need to target for our SMEs. That is the Biashara Link. The main capabilities of the Biashara Link is to capture, to validate, to track, and close each and every inquiry that comes from our missions, and to make sure that the economic diplomacy agenda for the Republic of Kenya is actually achieved. After all these inquiries are captured, we have to close, we have to execute, and we build the deal house. The deal house supports 6 structured processes which looks at validating these inquiries, structuring these inquiries, matchmaking these inquiries with the SMEs or counterparties, supporting negotiations through a deal room, and finally supporting the closure of these inquiries. These inquiries, we well know, will have to have a human component to support execution. In partnership with the University of Nairobi, we came up with a program of entities or individuals called deal stewards. These are orchestrators. These are individuals who handhold and guide each and every inquiry, support with the advisory of just making sure that these entities who are making these inquiries are able to get the support that is required. At the moment, Your Excellency, we've been able to roll this out. We have 70 young people who've been supporting execution of these inquiries. We've trained 150 and currently looking at deploying 1,000 of them before the end of the year. At the sidelines of the AU Heads of State Summit, in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we were able to deploy this out. We were able to make a presentation towards a couple of ministers across the continent, and the reception was actually immense. The output of what we're trying to achieve, Your Excellency, is to support your agenda. How can we create more jobs? Through creating demand for our exports. How can we increase our industrialization via supporting the demand that needs to be created? And finally, but not least, is how can we create more job opportunities for our young people? Last but not least, Your Excellency, in this case, I gave a story, or I was presenting a story of David and Goliath. In this case, Your Excellency, I present to you the sling. You as being the David, the sling itself being the biashara link, our embassies being the stones, and seeking your guidance as we sling these out towards the other African countries, and with your stewardship as the chair of the AFCFTA Implementation Committee under the AFCFTA. This is one of the initiatives, Your Excellency, that we're looking at using to be able to connect the entire continent and really push the AFCFTA agenda forward. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Presidential protocols observed. Infrastructure alone is not sufficient. Essentially, we have partnered with Trade Connect to layer the payment layer on top of the infrastructure. We have signed with the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to be the operationalization partner for trade. But broadly, what we do is an interoperable payment layer, such that it's not about goods moving and services moving, it's ensuring the completion of transaction. On top of that, Your Excellency, we have layered a layer of financial products, trade finance products, so that truly we facilitate, we ensure that trade has no barriers. Essentially, Your Excellency, we have also done financial products. How can we create warehouses? As Felix said, we want this system to have African Continental Free Trade Area into Kenya, into Mombasa, into Nairobi. But how do we ensure we have the infrastructure you talked about? So Equity has also committed to build the warehouses such that once we identify what goods are required in the market, Kenyan entrepreneurs can import them and then distribute for the rest of the market. Your Excellency, I think where we, and I'm glad that we are given a chance to speak in your presence, was to seek that we partner with the Kenyan ambassadors. We give them a dashboard such that they really receive the trade inquiries from the countries they represent you. They key them on the system, and we receive that from home and respond appropriately. Mr. President, we can't assign your diplomats responsibility without you. Maybe the truth be told is that we are introducing a KPI to the diplomats on performance on promoting trade. I listened keenly as His Excellency spoke. And the subject matter I thought you could talk about the whole time was about geopolitics. He spent only 1 minute on geopolitics and quickly segued to the economic and trade diplomacy. And essentially, then that's what we are really creating the platform. If I summarize broadly what he talked about, he went quickly to the state of our economy, whether it is reserves, whether it's months of import held in reserves, whether it's the investment of the 2.9, whether it's the GDP and the size of the economy. Kenyans leverage and improve the quality of their lives on economic activities happening within the country. It's the economic activities that create employment. It's economic activities that create wealth. And if we could give you support to be the face of the country in promoting export. The reserves he talks about is in foreign currency. We only earn it if we trade or we receive investment. Your Excellency, that is where we thought we could. But I think it touched me when you talked about savings. It's something that we have never really appreciated, that a country can never be better than its savings, because the maximum you can invest is equal to the maximum you can save. Your Excellency, you are very generous. Before you became president, the savings to GDP ratio was 8. It has increased from 8 to 12. And you can imagine what that will mean. When we can peak, I guess my data, yours is 55 for China, mine is 53. So it's 53 or 55 is the same broadly. But you can see what it has done for the last 30 years. I think Singapore is at 54 savings to GDP, and that is what really fuels the investment. It is really great to see the investment the president have talked about, and I'm glad the foreigners are investing. But unfortunately, the truth is, the return to those investments will not be Kenyans. And will destabilize our foreign exchange, because every time at the end of the year dividend is declared, we have to look for foreign currency to remit the dividend. We Kenyans must rise and be the owners of investments in our country. There is no shortcut to it. There is no shortcut. Lastly, Your Excellency, Mr. President, let me give a few examples of what I have seen truly as diplomatic convergence of diplomacy and trade and commerce. On Thursday, I was very privileged to be invited at state lunch. And when the president walked in with his guest, the president of Mozambique, the first business of the order was come close to where I was seated and introduced me and said, open a door for this young man to establish equity in Mozambique. That was the first order of, and truly, Your Excellency, just to report, on the week of 27th of April, I've been given an appointment. You can't, as a business person, you can't get such an appointment in a country you have no connections if you don't use our High Commissioner or our ambassador. That's the only way. What did that that just 1 minute introduction do? It gave me trust. I was endorsed by my country. I'm going representing a country. And that's really what the diplomats, that's the favor. I must say, Your Excellency, when we signed with Felix about partnership, I said the first thing is to look for a trade hub that we could really anchor this global dashboard on. And we settled on UAE. I'm glad, Your Excellency, that when I went to UAE to ask for your ambassador, invited all the ambassadors of the region, here he starts, for lunch and tell them, we are opening a hub. It was not a Kenyan hub. It was a regional hub. And you can see how difficult it could have been for me to invite ambassadors. Let me close, Your Excellency, and I apologize because we talked with the PS. You have worked very highly with France. And the France First Conference in Kenya on France-Africa Summit is happening. And together we have been working around and saying, what would this mean to Kenya from a business point of view? Your Excellency, the French government has appointed me to be the chair of the private sector and lead the private sector to come to Nairobi. But that is not the sweet thing, Your Excellency, is we have pushed it to Ambassador. What will be left in Kenya? And Your Excellency, I don't know, there's something I thought you could be project. I went to France and said, what will we really make money on that France understand? And we said, what about if we made tea, convert tea from a commodity to a lifestyle? And we worked with Validity, the largest tea importer of specialty tea. And we brewed Kenyan tea in form of wine. Then we invited them here. We created 16 specialty teas. Your Excellency, we have offered that during the state dinner on that day, you allow us to mix French wine and Kenyan tea for Tosi. And and in partnership between the private sector and the public sector, Your Excellency, then we could be willing to sponsor the entire dinner in appreciation of fronting the tea farmers. When we did the 16 products, we ended up negotiating a price of between $80 and $100 per kilo. That will be about 3,000 to 4,000 shillings per kilo of green tea. And broadly, what they will be willing to sign on that day is to open 249 shops in Europe to all stock Kenyan specialty tea. Your Excellency, you have done very well. The tea is now 100 plus shillings per kilo, but this transaction would make the Kenyan tea trade at between 3,000 and 4,000 shillings per kilo. But it will require us to do the GI, or geographical identity. We need to pass the law, and then the President of France has said he would toast with you. He will be holding the Kenyan tea, he will be holding and say, an alternative to wine, to French wine is the Kenyan tea. And Mr. President, now you will not be toasting with water. You will be so easy. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mwangi is a hard act to follow. So, Your Excellency, allow me to stand on protocols already established. I am just here to move a vote of thanks. It is not customary for us to speak after you have spoken, sir, but I'm told there's always time for Thanksgiving. So allow me to give thanks. I'm honored really to move this vote of thanks, Your Excellency, following your amazing and very impactful address that has called us all to action around your 4 imperatives. Imperative that when we project Kenya, we do so from a place of strength, that the Kenyan government is committed to its people through the better plan. You've given us your 3 focus areas as we move towards the first world. And finally, Your Excellency, you have told us that we continue to be committed to leadership in the international community, showing the world how to do this. Your Excellency, allow me then to thank you for this amazing speech, because we have received our marching orders. Have we received our marching orders or not? Hata tukifunga conference sasa, Your Excellency, I am not proposing that we do. But even if we did, Your Excellency, we have our marching orders. It is clear. We have been called by our capital, and we have instructions on how to proceed. We are grateful, Your Excellency, for your leadership. You lead with commitment. You lead with a clarity of vision. And not just, Your Excellency, in leading on national interests, but in leading in calling your people together to make sure that they have understood where it is that you want us to do. And we are very grateful for that. I think we can clap for His Excellency for that. Your Excellency, I want to thank my boss, Waziri PCS, who leads with heart and finds time to delve into things at depth. I want to thank my brother, P.S. Singoe. Your Excellency, you said that Kenyans speak the best English anywhere in the world. Case in point, I want to thank my brother, P.S. Singoe, who's not just fluent in English, but fluent in diplomacy. I want to thank Your Excellency, the partners who are here, Felix Chege and Dr. James Mwangi, for the amazing work of connecting the work that we do here with private sector. I want to thank our ambassadors, high commissioners who are here, Your Excellency. This is, as you said, frontline officers, our team on the ground. And sir, I can confirm, and allow me to do so, because it is not every day that people get to speak to you about these people. But let me say, Your Excellency, you have a good team on the ground. Wameelewa kazi. And I say that because they carry the flag with honor, with dignity, and they serve not just our country, but our diaspora with much commitment. Many of them do call me well after midnight, Your Excellency, when there are challenges around the diaspora. They are very committed, and I really want to acknowledge all of you in front of our bosses here. I want to finally thank the organizers of this conference. I know there's a team that has worked very hard to put this together. I want to thank them because ukiona vyaelea vimeundwa, and the entire team of the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, who are really the people who make this work. And finally, Your Excellency, colleagues, I want to thank God for allowing us all to gather here, because in him we move and have our being. Mike, yes? Mike, maybe you can give us now instructions around what to do next. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, PS Roslyn. Your Excellency, with your permission, we are coming to the end of this session. We just seek your indulgence for a few photos, and because of time, we'll do them in regions. So with your permission, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the two PSs, PS Singoe and PS Roslyn, to come on stage. Then we'll start with Africa, and this is ambassadors only from the region of Africa to kindly come on stage and take a quick picture with His Excellency. We'll do that in regions. I'll also request that we move this podium so that we have enough space. So Africa, you're first on the list. Okay, let's do half. Let's have, apart from PS and PCS, the rest of us, let's come down so that we have less on stage. We split. The rest of us, let's spread to this side. We're doing half. So the rest of us, this way. A few more can come down. A few more can come down. All right, so those on stage can come down. Africa, we'll do part 2 of Africa. Let's all exit to your left. Exit to your left. Those who are exiting to your left. All right. Exit to your left. I created a part 3 of Africa. Please, let's do the greetings later, kindly. Let's do the greetings later. We need to fast track this, please. And next, we are going to do Europe. So Europe, if we can all go to the left of the stage right now. Europe, let's go to the left of the stage in waiting. All right. All right, we're done with Africa. We now go to Europe. Let's exit to your right, please. Exit to your right. Exit to your right, kindly. And use the aisle to take your seat. While exiting, kindly let's all exit using the right of the stage, and we use the aisles to all right, exit to your right. Exit on your right, please. Exit to the right, part 2 of Europe comes in. After Europe, we'll have Middle East. So if Middle East, you can go to the left of the stage. Middle East to the left of the stage, please. Middle East to the left of the stage. Exit to your right, please. Exit on your right. Middle East, let's come in to the left. After Middle East, we have Asia and Pacific to the left of the stage. Asia and Pacific to the left of the stage. Let's kindly just try and use one side so that we don't interfere with the photo. Asia and Pacific is next, so if we can go to the left of the stage. Exit to your right, please. Exit through your right. And Asia, Pacific, and Pacific can come on stage. After Asia and Pacific, we have the Americas. So Americas, let's progress to the left. Americas to the left, please. Exit to the right. Let's have the Americas on stage. Remove the lanyards, please, so that we are all uniform. Let's have HQ, headquarters, ambassadors to the left, HQ. Try and use the bus. HQ. Okay, it looks like HQ is on one side. Let's just be on this side. Let's just be on this side. Exit on your left. Exit on your left. HQ, let's go on board. HQ. We could also have the multilateral stations come inside there, but they can be prepared. We'll do two of these. Okay, we can wait. Multilateral, we can wait. All right, we're ready. Exit to your left. Let's approach. Exit to your left. Exit on your left, please. So let's have the multilateral multilateral, you're next, so you can be preparing. Or are we all at the front? All right, exit. Let's exit. Exit to your right. We can divide it into two. I see we still have a number. This is multilateral, and this is our last one. All right, we exit and have the last frame. The last frame. All right, Your Excellency, there's a special request while we exit. CEO Mwangi and Felix, also Professor Macau and Sally Koske. They can kindly approach the special request. All right, thank you, Your Excellency. That brings us to the end of the photo session. I'll request that we all be upstanding. We'll wind up with the national anthem. All of us exit stage except His Excellency for the national anthem as our closing prayer. The anthem. I'll request that we all maintain our positions as we allow His Excellency